Hi, this is Dale with Sarah's Kids, and I wanted to show you how to make these beautiful grunge paper roses. I know there are a lot of videos out there about how to make the roses, but I did a little different trick on them, and maybe others would like to get the kind of color that I could get with this technique. These are the 3 flowers I made using my technique. And you can see that the largest one is kind of a medium shade. The small one in the upper quarter is the lightest one, and the darkest one is made with untreated grunge paper. And the treatment, the technique, involves using gesso, and I use a spray gesso. This is Krylon's spray gesso. I find it's easier to use on this technique. It gives the grunge paper a really smooth surface to color. The only problem is that it takes the distressed inks a little while to dry after they've been colored, so you have to be patient. You need to cut 3 flowers of each size. And so then the next step is to spray them with gesso. And you have to shake the can really well. And this is a box that I cut down so that the spray wouldn't go everywhere. And in the bottom I have a craft mat. And you just spray. You should do this in a well-ventilated area because the fumes get to you if you're not. And then that has to dry. It takes about 3 minutes for the gesso to dry, and then you can flip them over and you can spray the other side. Now that the gesso is dry, I want to show you how the colors look with the grunge paper and the gessoed grunge paper. And this I'm using Tim Holtz's distressed ink in sponge sugar. And you can see how nice and light. Usually I use my fingers to do this, which is why on the last video my friend who saw it said that I needed to make sure my hands were clean. I had alcohol ink all over them, and usually it's all in my nails. But you can see that the sponge sugar is very dark and not very pink in the plain grunge paper, but nice and light pink in the gessoed. So you want to color both sides of these flowers. And I like to use about 4 different colors, and I have all the reds here. Usually I use 3 on each one, so I want the flowers to be slightly darker for each one. So the darkest one will be just the plain grunge paper, and then this one will be probably the lightest, and then the large flower, this size, will be the medium kind of color, and I'll use more of the darker colors like fired brick and maybe a little aged mahogany on the edge. Now that the petals are all colored, you can see the difference between the non-gessoed grunge paper and the gessoed. This one is done with the same colors as this one, with a slight addition of fired brick. This one has mostly spun sugar, tattered rose with just a little bit of worn lipstick. This one has tattered rose, barn door, fired brick. And you can see that this one is very light, this one is kind of medium, and this one is quite dark. I try to keep the centers of the flower lighter than the outside petals. You have to wait until the flower petals are completely dry, or the glue won't stick very well, and your pieces will pop off and not stay together. So you have to be patient. So these are the 3 roses that I made. I'm selling them at my Etsy store, which is www.etsy.com/shop/Sarah's Kids. I hope you enjoy making your own flowers and having a good time doing it. Thanks.